And now we're joined with Jeff Muto, Bryan Phann, and Sean Liu with Viewsonic. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. So, post-pandemic, right, the way that we work and the way that we use screens and things of that nature, it has significantly changed, right? Before, you may have just had a PowerPoint presentation on a monitor, but now we're using them and repurposing them for different things. So, in the realm of conferencing and collaboration, how have display solutions evolved to enhance communication and productivity?
I think from our side, it's been a unique challenge to solve. Like you said, pre-COVID, it was kind of, go in a conference room, project from your computer, PowerPoint on the wall. From there, it was kind of work from home. And then your screen was no longer in the conference room or meeting room, but it's basically your desktop display in your home office where you're looking at people as well as communicating them via Zoom or Teams or whatever you choose to use. And then post-pandemic, it's been this need to now incorporate the people that are in office, that are collaborating in office, annotating on the boards, as well as trying to integrate and engage the people that are still dialing in from home. And obviously, as the display technologies evolved, we kind of have begun to understand the use case to better allow our customers and our clients to create a more interactive environment in their conference rooms.
Yeah, just to add on to that, it's a lot of people coming back to work. They want to join a meeting. They want to simplify the process. In the past, pre-pandemic, we weren't really prepared to have the kind of solutions, and people were struggling to how do I join a meeting? How do I start a meeting? But now we have solutions where we have one-tap solution or one-click. You're in the meeting.
Well, let's elaborate on that, right, Bryan? Talk a little bit about, obviously, when you look at the pandemic, right, we kind of just started shoving information on screens, right? And now we're kind of at the back end of that product life cycle, so we have intentional collaboration solutions, and you see them everywhere over here. But talk about some of the ways that we have shifted from this idea of shove everything we can on a screen to actually making a display that is creating value for people.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good point, because usually when people think of a collaboration display, it's something that it's an all-in-one, right? So to simplify the process of, do I need a media player? Do I need a PC? Do I need a camera? Do I need all these components to go to the display? And currently right now, when we design the display, we want it to be focused. We want to be, this is a most reliable display that you can get, and that it can work 24/7 if you need to. You don't have to use it, but the reliability, the serviceability, and the life cycle of the product is very important. So our display is basically taking that into consideration to make sure that when it's on the screen, you don't have to touch it. It's just a set it and forget it type of a product, right? And we're doing that, and we also have other capability of the display that, hey, what if I just want to do a simple presenting on my screen from my laptop? How can I do that? So connectivity is kind of like the main things that you have to look at. Yep. So HDMI, USB-C for the latest technology in one cable, powering your laptop while you're presenting the video, that's the key. So we implement all those into our display to make sure that connectivity is not an issue.
And I think I'd like to add that it's also about efficiency, right? For the end user, it's, can I get into the conference room or can I dial in and be ready to go? No problems, right? I'm not spending 5 minutes to start a meeting. And then from the integrator's perspective, is it easy to install, and does it integrate well with the other components within the solution? Because, Viewsonic in this case, as an example, may provide the display, but there are other software, hardware components that need to integrate into it to create this whole collaborative environment. And part of the challenge is also not just working to address the needs of what our display can do, but also how well we can work with our partners within the industry as well. Yep.
And I think you've both hit on points of, these things need to be reliable, these things need to be flexible, and especially coming out of the pandemic. What role do you see display technologies playing in the future of conferencing and collaboration?
I think visually, the display will always be the center of it because you always want to either see the other person or also see the PowerPoint presentation. I think over time, what we're going to have to understand is what the use case is. So I think the whole challenge that we face is how do we address the needs of the hybrid workforce, right? And really, how are we engaging to everyone? How are we inclusive to not just the people in the office, not just the people at home, but also across the globe in some instances? And it's a fun challenge to solve, though.
Well, Sean, one of the things, too, that I really appreciate about Viewsonic is that really throughout different verticals, the Viewsonic name carries a lot of weight, right? There are some Pro AV companies who hyper-focus on one vertical, but you guys don't really do that, right? Especially in education, we're a long-term player in the industry, right? How does that brand equity, especially post-COVID, help with user buy-in, maybe even adapting new technologies with teachers, students, things like that? How does that name carry some extra weight?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've been in education for a long time, and I think back in the days where we had like monitors, projectors, and that's how we can get a name into education, and the schools are familiar with Viewsonic, our name. And then now we developed this new technology, like in the classroom technology environment, they used to have maybe like, back in the old days with like chalkboards, and then they kind of upgraded to like projectors. But in a bright classroom, it's kind of hard to see sometimes that you have a really bright projector. Now they upgraded to like the large interactive flat panels. They give them like a much better interactive experience. Like in the past, you have like the interactive projectors where it's not very sensitive, but now you have the whiteboards. It's like a giant iPad where it allows you to like interact with the board and also save all your work and communicate with students, and also students with like remote location, they can also see what you're presenting. So just having that technology enables teachers to teach students in class and also remote in a hybrid kind of setup. So that's how you get into classroom advanced technologies and get a name out there.
I want to follow up with Bryan on that too, right? Education in a lot of ways is a unique industry because there are tangible outcomes that are required from the technology, and it's hard to quantify, right? Whether it's teacher satisfaction, student learning goals, right? At the end of the year, you find out who passed the test. I'm oversimplifying, of course, but what are some of the ways that you're actually seeing the technology be leveraged to drive tangible and actionable outcomes?
Yes, that's a really good question, because in the old days, if you have a screen or display, maybe it's just one touch, right? Now you have an opportunity to interact with the students much better, so you can have multiple display. One can be touched, the other can be non-touch, or you can have like one on the left, one on the right, or one in the back, so that all the students can see what's on the display or they can collaborate better, because with the current technology right now, usually it's about how you interact from the teacher and the student. So basically they have like different devices. Yep. So if it's a Chromebook or a laptop or maybe an iPad or a Chromebook, a Android tablet, they need to communicate that. And if you don't have the connectivity to do that, then it's very hard for you to teach that student or to collaborate. So in a hybrid education environment, basically you have people that's in the classroom, but maybe you're sick and you want to call in and join the class. You can do that now. You don't have to be in the classroom anymore. You can be remotely and learn what you need to learn and interact in this technology.
I'd like to add that I think that technology is only as good as its usage. So if it's not used, obviously you've got a big expensive piece of hardware or even software that's goes to waste. And one of the core focuses of us, especially in education, is our professional development team who goes out there, trains the actual teachers that are going to be in the classroom how to use the tools, what the different features are, so they can make their lesson plans more engaging to the students. And I think that's been very successful for us in driving adoption and usage within the classroom.
I love that point, Jeff. Technology is only as good as the people who use it. It was incredible to have you guys on the show today. Love really the insight that you brought into really both the education and that display conferencing collaboration world. Thank you so much for joining us on Avixa TV.
Thank you.
Pleasure.